just like everyone drew it up. I mean, I'm excited to see it. He's got a long way to go defensively, but should be fun to watch.
How many minutes did he end up playing? I went to bed.
18 and change. Played 4-minute rotations,
Okay.
which is actually less than what I was expecting, but said 5 4-minute rotations. So
yeah,
no,
I was
4 or
stuck between
5-minute rotations.
I was stuck between like 20, 22 minutes.
Ultimately meaningless on a 12-game slate with all of the value in the world, but that was yesterday. And today on the NBA Strategy Show presented by SuperDraft, we've got a lovely 3-game Thursday slate. Just real fun. Cavs Wizards kicking it off. Just a battle of two teams fighting for the first pick in the draft. I don't know. For the chance to get whatever Ball brothers still left. Unbelievable. I am Josh Engelman. I am joined by Adam Ship My Money Share. We're going to break this one down. But first, I have to plug our presenting sponsor, which is SuperDraft. I finally got some time. I loaded up the SuperDraft salary sheet, which I guess I have to just call. I name all of them like salaries dash whatever the site is. There are no salaries. That's the key tenet here. I should have said multipliers / SuperDraft because there are no salaries. You can roster everybody. Today you want to roster Kevin Love, Bradley Beal, Kyrie Irving, LeBron, AD, Dame, Luka. You can do that. Every single player has a certain multiplier. Their points get multiplied, or their fantasy points get multiplied by. So if you get a guy with I'll bring that table up on the screen right now. If you get a guy like Kevin Love at 1.4x, you get a little bit of wiggle room. If he has a big day, he becomes essential. And right now, he projects as my second best guy on the slate on SuperDraft because of that 1.4x multiplier. Or you can get someone like Luka Doncic, where you only get a 1x. SuperDraft is running contests for NBA, PGA, baseball's coming up soon, NFL rounding out right now. Highly recommend you guys check it out. Use the promo code AWESOMO when you go to superdraft.io, and you can get yourself $20 in super cash on your first $100 or more deposit. They've got an app in the App Store, so if you're trying to play mobilely, that should not be an issue. But I am slowly but surely getting myself prepped and ready to go to really focus. I love this mechanism, and I really want to see what sort of edge there is out there.
Yeah, I actually, I have it on my list of things to do. I'm really, really bad about getting around to like new sites and stuff, but I'm actually excited about this one. Like looking at it, you can see where the edge is. You can see, kind of what you would need to build out and do to be good at it. And the prize pools are big enough, like even on normal days when they're not running, bigger stuff like they did yesterday, where it seems worth the time to me. It seems fun. I'm actually excited about it.
Yeah, we plugged that 4K at the top, 20K guaranteed contest pretty heavily through the deeper dive and live before lock, and it was looking like it was going to overlay, and I think they only missed it by like 30 entries or so they got really close. So kudos to everybody for listening and for signing up. It's a great contest to be in. 4K up top in that one. It was a relatively like low amount of entries. I want to say it was like 1,900 or so it's a pretty nice contest.
Yeah, I think that's on my list of things to do today because I was going to do it on Tuesday when there was like nothing going on.
Yeah.
But happy hour was calling my name, so I didn't get anything done.
Yeah, I'm sure happy hour won't be calling your name today. Happy hour's phone probably isn't dead. I've got lineup study pulled up for yesterday's $9 on FanDuel because I was actually in it. I finished 20th. Had an outside shot at a sweat. Did not get there, unfortunately. Just to show everybody what I had. Pull that up on the screen. Top lineup, Russ, Dragic, Buddy Hield, Kevin Huerter, LeBron James, Tobias Harris, John Collins, Nerlens Noel, Montrezl Harrell. Needed a little bit more out of Kevin Huerter or Buddy Hield there. Just needed one of those guys to be significantly more interesting. Just couldn't get it done. Luckily, Giant Squid there to take it down. 100K. Believe also finished third in the DK $20. So pretty solid performance there. Winning lineup in the $9 on FanDuel: Russ, Rose, Lou Will, Buddy Hield, Tobias Harris, Markieff Morris, John Collins, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Montrezl Harrell. Aldridge, pretty clearly the key to this, goes for 57.8 FanDuel points at just 5.5% ownership. That is a massive total to be able to get in your lineup. I have my exposures and Alex's exposures also pulled up on the screen. We could talk through this a little bit. So, chalkiest play of the day. Surprise, surprise. Lou Will. I played 82% Lou Williams. Alex Baker played 100. Went the full Magilla. Not that it's terribly crazy. 32.7 fantasy points, 5.2x. That is quite the Lou Will letdown. Ultimately doesn't matter when you get to that sort of level of ownership. As long as other chalky guards at that position don't go crazy, you can get there with having Lou Will. 100% there. 95.3 for Alex to Montrezl Harrell. No issue. How much did you end up with on DK for both of those guys?
For Harrell and Lou?
Yeah.
I had 42.7% Lou and 16.7% Harrell.
42.7% Lou, eh? Any particular reason? I would have assumed that you were significantly higher there. Although I do know his price was higher, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was a really, really good play. He was just popular.
Okay. Was that like the ultimate thing for you? Like, did you expect to have more? I guess is a...
Yeah, I kind of figured I'd have more, but when I saw he was 65% owned, I wasn't upset about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I
like
have no
Alex
idea what he ended up on DK from.
He ended up being he was the highest owned guy on DK at 65%. Alex had 100. I had 42. I think that if I'd had 100, I wouldn't have been upset.
Right.
But there were just by even though pricing on DraftKings has been tighter, there were just so many good plays yesterday that when I sorted my lineups, I ended up being really, really contrarian yesterday because there were just a lot of good plays where, maybe my lineup projected for 4 or 5 points less, but I was getting a huge discount on ownership. So I took those.
That's fair. Top plays from yesterday. I'm glad Nerlens got to 7x. I got nervous out of that first quarter. Highest scoring player on the slate yesterday, Russell Westbrook, 69.2 fantasy points. Alex and I were both just a little bit over the field. John Collins, 67.2. This was probably one of the bigger pieces that carried me. I 2x the field there, which is really crazy considering I never get John Collins. But things changed once Trae Young went out.
Yeah, I never get him either, and I talked to you about it before the show. Like I thought I was going to get him yesterday. I really liked him. I didn't catch before lock that I had kind of underprojected his minutes a little bit, or so I didn't get much, which obviously it really hurt. That was the biggest thing in my day. Like I'm looking right now at my exposures on DraftKings, and when you go down like the value list, it's like, oh, like that was good. That was a good fade. That was a good play. And then you get to John Collins, and it's just like, oh yeah, that killed me.
Had a little bit of Aldridge, had a little bit of Beal. There's guys that popped off. I just couldn't get the pieces to stick together in the right lineup. Rough night out of Towns, rough night out of Nikola Jokic. I like both of their spots at minimal ownership.
Nikola Jokic triple-doubled.
Went for 48 fantasy points and a 4.7x on FanDuel.
Yeah, 54.5 on DraftKings.
Okay, yeah. Once Trez went for 8x, it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
And Vooch, I think, yeah, Vooch had 55, so.
Yeah, he was like 6x on DraftKings.
Yeah. I had no idea he had a triple. What was his actual line?
It was like 15, 10, 11 or something.
19, 12, and 10. He had 6 turnovers, which is also
right.
Major negative on FanDuel. Some of the chalk that didn't play well, Gordon Hayward, 21.6 fantasy points. He was the second most owned guy on the slate. Lucky enough to come in just a hair under.
Me too.
Yeah. What would you say you had 1%?
1.3%.
There you go. So 2 lineups. Fair enough. Well played.
Did not matter.
No, not at all. Jeff Teague, he's probably the guy that everybody wanted to stab this morning. 17.6 fantasy points, 3.8x. Pretty sure that he got outscored by Brandon Goodwin. Is that right?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know, but probably.
Just not good for Teague all around. Really thought he was going to thrive there. Just thought he would gun, but he didn't. What was his final line? Like, did he try? No, 1 for 7 from the field in 25 minutes. 8 assists. He committed 4 fouls? Okay. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't even committing 4 fouls a game, like, when he was playing legitimate minutes for the Wolves.
Right.
That's hard to do. He was probably just like, screw it, I'll do whatever. Will Barton was the guy that hurt me most. I had 50% on FanDuel. Went for 27.6, 4.2x. I just thought he looked really good as a small forward option, and where we had ownership, I felt pretty good as him being my stand, and ultimately did not matter at all. But what are you gonna do? On to the next one. Giant Squid 418. He won that contest by 8. Whew. That's Aldridge for you, I'm guessing. Yeah. Everybody else had Grant or Tatum, and he had Aldridge. 57.8 will do it.
Yeah, Aldridge was kind of funny because EMAC had actually pointed out to me it was really interesting because I hadn't caught it, but that Aldridge's rebounding numbers recently had been terrible, and it coincided with him shooting a bunch of threes. Like over the last 10 games going into yesterday, he was higher than his season average in 3-point attempts in every game, and so I mean, obviously it's not something you're going to be too concerned about,
Yeah.
but then I look with like 2 minutes to go in the first half, and he already has 9 boards.
Him, DeRozan, the Spurs in general, just playing a lot better as of late. Not sure what's changing.
DeRozan sucked yesterday.
He did suck yesterday. Perfect opportunity now, before we get started, for everybody to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. Relatively light day today, but still plenty of NBA content coming out. I'll go over that a little bit later. But you should check out the NBA DFS Contenders, which got posted about a half hour ago. It's on our YouTube channel. Fantastic video from one of our best, if not the best, NBA content creator we have. Me. Go ahead.
How many assists do you think the Spurs starters combined for yesterday?
Okay, so the answer is either staggeringly high or like 0. I'm pretty. Derek White played well yesterday, I think. Does he start?
He played well. He does not start.
Okay, so he probably had the assist.
He did lead the team in assists.
Okay.
He had more assists than every starter combined.
Is it 1?
It's 6.
Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be really, really, really staggering.
Aldridge and Murray, out of the starters, had the most assists with 2 apiece. DeRozan had 1, Forbes had 1, Lyles had 0. Derek White had 7 off the bench.
You wouldn't expect that. I mean, Derek White having 7 is like not craziness to me. I mean,
yeah. Well, I just noticed it because we were talking about DeRozan having a bad game, and I was like, oh, he scored 20 points, 5 rebounds is below what you were hoping for, and then I was like, oh, he had 1 assist.
You wouldn't expect that from the Spurs, who are like all about, I would imagine, assists.
Yeah, well, and you wouldn't expect it in a game where they score 121 points.
Also very true. Huh.
The second most assists on the team was Jakob Poeltl in 13 minutes.
Way to go, Jake Puddle. Way to go. Cool. All right, you ready to tackle this?
Yeah.
Cleveland Cavaliers, Washington Wizards, Cavs 1-point favorites at home. This should be a barn burner.
Should be a good fantasy game.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, when I say a barn burner, I mean, like, we'd be better off trapping these guys in a burning barn.
It'll probably be a pretty fun game to watch, kind of like that Golden State Portland game where they're both, like, so bad that it's good.
I don't know. I don't need to watch both teams go 34% from the field, man.
I was going to say, it does.
I'm not a big fan of rebounding when I watch games.
So. Right, yeah. It could be the game where like everyone scores, or it could be a game where it's just a ton of bricks.
Yeah. If you're a big fan of rebounds and turnovers, boy, do I have a game for you. If you like stoppages of plays and commercials, let's kick it off. Kevin Love, 7K on FanDuel, 8,100 on DK. Tristan Thompson, 5,900 on FanDuel, 7,300 on DraftKings. These are just opposite sites now. It's incredible.
It's back to how things normally are.
Yeah, I guess. But from a while ago, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like season over season. Normally, like DraftKings has competent pricing, and FanDuel does not.
Right. Love, Thompson, Sexton, Garland, Chetty, all in my top 25 on DK. That should not be surprising. There are like 25 legitimate players on a 3-game slate. Chetty looks like decent value on DK for right now, but Kevin Love is the guy that I like a lot here. Hasn't been playing well, but the minutes are there. 7K on FanDuel, I just can't get away from. And in particular, Love and Thompson as a combo, I like a lot. They're just cheap, and I think that looks pretty good against the Wizards. What do you want to do with Cleveland?
Yeah, I think Love looks good too. Obviously, it's a good matchup for all these guys. Tristan Thompson on FanDuel seems appealing because he's so cheap. On DraftKings, it's tougher because of the salary. But over the last month, Washington has been in the bottom third of the league in both total rebounds and offensive rebounds allowed. So that's pretty appealing for Thompson. He's playing big minutes as well. You have John Henson probable for this game, so he does get his backup back. I'm looking at one site now that has Larry Nance projected for 24 minutes. I'm not sure exactly how the hell that happens if John Henson's back.
It's not either one, Henson's just not a part of the rotation any longer, or two, they somehow start giving Larry Nance minutes at the 3 because there aren't minutes anywhere else.
Right, yeah. So,
or you have to hate Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson tonight.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so we're on the same page there. Larry Nance goes to not being a play for me.
I gave him 15 minutes.
Right, that he should be backing up Kevin Love.
Yeah, I went back and double checked it and was like, okay, whichever center, Zizic or Henson, Thompson, Love, Nance, do these 4 numbers ever get north of 96? The answer is no. So I was like, okay, well, I definitely have to give Love these minutes and Tristan Thompson these minutes. So it's either Henson's done or Nance doesn't play-ish. And the answer is Nance doesn't play.
Yeah, Henson's the backup center. Yep. Nance is the backup to Love.
Yes.
So the only small concern there I would have is maybe you get like 32 minutes for Love instead of 34.
Right.
But still think he looks pretty good.
I give him 33. So perfect.
Yeah.
Or you can just use odd numbers, man. I know it's a weird thing.
I've been doing more of that.
So
That's probably why I'm having such a shitty season.
I have Sexton at 35, Garland at 35, Dellavedova at 13. I might have got too aggressive with the odds.
The guards look pretty good on DraftKings too, though. You're just getting big minutes from Colin Sexton and Darius Garland. Sexton's at 6,500, Garland at 55. Sexton looks a little bit better to me. He's between a 27 and 28% usage guy, and obviously it's not a very good defensive team in Washington.
No, not so much. Would you go to someone like Dante Exum today, 3,700 on DraftKings?
Not planning on it.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't find enough minutes for him. I gave him 22. Yeah. It's like, knocking on the door, but 3-gamer against the Wizards. You never know.
Yeah.
Value is sparse at the very least.
I mean, the thing for me is that I don't think I'll have to really go that route because obviously you have Luka and you have LeBron, but the mid-range on this slate's actually pretty strong. So I think, and then you have some value from Dallas too. So I think I probably end up going that route.
And, potentially from Portland.
Right. Yeah, that too.
All right. We have ownership, so I just got that loaded in. Kevin Love, 48% on FanDuel, 34 on DK. Colin Sexton, 30% across both. Garland, mid-20s. Thompson, 27 on FanDuel, 14 on DK. That feels a little low on FanDuel too, but I'll have to dig into it a little bit more. Chetty around 17. I guess
17. It does hurt because you don't get the double-double bonus there either.
Yeah, which he's, I don't want to say a guarantee for. That would be silly, but like pretty close to a guarantee. Yeah, Whiteside getting a lot more love than Tristan Thompson, which we'll get to. I would probably rather have that flip-flopped, but...
How much is Whiteside on FanDuel?
96.
Yeah, I mean, that when the pricing is that different, it's basically what's the rest of your team look like? Because obviously I would rather have Whiteside, but...
Right. Yeah, I don't know what the, like, adding those two, Thompson plus X and Whiteside plus Y. I don't know what X and Y are yet. So that could make sense down the line. Larry Nance is at 17% ownership on FanDuel. I can't imagine that holds, even at 4,200.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Anybody else you want to touch on? I guess we should mention, this should not be relevant. Pretty sure I saw that Cleveland signed Alfonso McKinney to another 10-day.
They did.
Okay. Just in case you really wanted an Alfonso McKinney update, there it is. Love and Thompson.
You mentioned the Chetty value. That's fine, too.
Yeah, he's... God. I hate rostering that dude.
So do
I really do, and I never get him right. Even the day that I thought I got him right, where he had like 7, 4, 3, and a steal in the first 4 minutes, and then basically never played again afterwards.
I
Like,
was thinking that because I was thinking like, has there ever been a time where I'm just like, damn, I don't have Chetty? And I was like, there was that one game where I was really upset that I didn't have Chetty, and then at the end of the game, he had the same score as when I first saw it.
yeah, that one wasn't fun. Do want to point out Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson both have pretty favorable price tags on Yahoo. Love at 31, Tristan Thompson at 23. Or the Wizards. Oh god, I'm so tired of this team. I never know who to play. I never know who's going to get the minutes outside of Bradley Beal. So let's start with Beal.
So that's your answer to who to play.
Yeah, 54% owned on FanDuel, 38% owned on DraftKings. Clearly looks pretty good. Jan Mahinmi is $15 on Yahoo. I think I need to point that one out. I don't know what they're going to be doing with their center rotations moving forward. Your guess is as good as mine. I'm kind of interested in him on FanDuel and DK. FanDuel even more so. Not picking up much love. I don't know. Jordan McRae, Bertan. I'm just going to read off the names. I don't know how to sift through this team. I have 8 guys from the Wizards making my DraftKings player pool, and it probably could be all 10 as far as I'm concerned. Anybody can play. Talk to me about your Washington Wizards.
So the starting point obviously is Beal, who is really cheap right now and back to playing at least close to normal minutes. He played 33 2 games ago, played 38 including overtime yesterday, so about 33 again in regulation. He did lose a couple of minutes to foul trouble in the first half, so at least pushing that 33 34 minutes, which at this salary is really appealing. He's a 1.2 fantasy point per minute guy for the year, and then obviously this is a good matchup against Cleveland. So assuming we don't get him resting on a back-to-back or something, he's a priority here.
Are you doing anything to his minutes because of the back-to-back?
No, I'm just going 33.
Okay. I had him in for 32 right now just because I was a little nervous, but I was waiting to talk to you about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty comfortable with 33 because I think that if this were like an island game, he could realistically play 36.
Yeah.
So it is kind of projecting him low.
Agreed.
But yeah, so beyond that, like you said, you just get to a bunch of guys that are kind of the same. I think the easiest way to look at it is to look at the rotations and look at who's backing up who. So, Isaiah Thomas and Ish Smith are playing 48 point guard minutes, and most of them are going to Ish. So I think like a 20 Thomas. Oh, sorry, I was looking at the wrong line. Yeah, so Thomas played 24 minutes yesterday.
Yeah.
Ish played 28, including overtime. So you can do a 24-24 split. You can give Ish the slight edge at like 26-22 or something like that. Davis Bertans played 32, including overtime. He closed as you would expect. So I think projecting him around 27, 28 minutes makes sense. Troy Brown seems like he's the one really taking the haircut right now.
Yeah.
He only played 20 minutes yesterday. You got about 29 in regulation for McRae. I think that if you play the game like 1,000 times, you probably end up getting something like 26 for McRae, 22 for Brown or something like that.
And 26-24. That's close.
Yeah, same idea. Bonga and Peyton basically playing not enough minutes to matter. And then the center rotation, you're getting 48 minutes from Jan Mahinmi, or basically 48 minutes from Jan Mahinmi and Thomas Bryant. Normally, again, I would expect that to be like 26 for Mahinmi, 22 for Bryant. But yesterday you did get 30 in the first or in regulation from Mahinmi. So you mentioned his Yahoo price, he's appealing. And I think, giving him 26 or 28 minutes makes sense. The price tag on DraftKings is not quite as appealing.
Yeah, I went 27-21 between those two guys, but honestly, it's not like I was feeling pretty comfortable with it. If you told me that Thomas Bryant played 26 minutes today, I'd be like, yeah, of course he did.
Right. I think another big thing with Washington is setting groups so that, you don't want Ish and Smith together. You don't want Bryant and Mahinmi together, but also using max 2 groups is pretty effective with this team. Just trying to think about who could be in the closing lineup, because you assume out of the starters, Bonga and Peyton most likely don't close. So that opens the door for 2 out of Bertans, Brown, McRae to be in the closing lineups. Like I wouldn't want more than 2 of those guys.
You would think it's Bertans. I mean,
it'll normally be Bertans and McRae.
Right. McRae stands out, I would say, most to me across both sites. 5K on FanDuel, 5K on DraftKings. I like Bertans across both sites. They're both in the mid-20s in ownership.
The thing that scares me about McRae is that have you seen his usage rate with Beal on the floor this year?
I can't imagine it.
It's it's lower than I expected. He's played 159 minutes with Beal. He has a 14.2% usage rate.
That is
So,
not
like,
ideal.
obviously coming off the bench, a good chunk of his minutes are still without Beal. If we're projecting Beal for 33 minutes, that means that basically 15 minutes for McRae are without Beal. But if we're projecting him for like 27, then that still means about half of his minutes he has a 14% usage rate.
Not good. That makes me nervous.
But to your point, like, he's cheap enough still where
Yeah.
he's viable.
I'm going to knock his usage rate back just a hair. See where that ends up. Yeah, that walked him back quite a bit. A couple things to point out. Troy Brown, 16% on both FanDuel and DraftKings. I would happily walk away from those numbers. And IT at 23% on DK. Would happily walk away from that.
God, I hate what they're doing with this price.
Yeah. I don't want it if that's where his ownership is. I want it if that's where it's not. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna play it regardless,
right?
Because it's $3,400. But it's yeah. I mean, I'm gonna end up with him projected for probably like 20 fantasy points, which at 3,400 is gonna get him in lineups.
Yep, 19.2 ranks 21st for me right now. All right, so on DK, rank him. What are your priorities in order for the Wiz?
Beal. I mean, depending on how you're defining priorities, Thomas. As far as guys I actually like, I would say Beal, McRae, or Bertans. You kind of flip a coin, and then like a gap, and then you get like the next bucket is basically Brown, Smith, and Mahinmi.
Okay. Beal for me is probably second, just given pricing and the way that FanDuel looks. I'm talking, obviously, I'm switching to FanDuel for right now.
I was looking at DraftKings, like, who the hell do you have first?
No. I'm trying to give the opposite perspective. Beal's at 53% ownership right now. I don't think it's crazy to be like at that number or slightly less. We'll get to a guy that I like a lot at shooting guard, so that could change the game up a little bit. But I think Mahinmi is the guy that's going slept on most, 5,100. So much ownership now, as I mentioned before, going to Hassan Whiteside. But if Mahinmi really is at 8, I mean, I probably like him even more than Tristan Thompson just relative to ownership.
Yeah,
there's not a lot going on at center today.
The thing that scares me for Mahinmi is it's not like he's a great offensive player, and now he's going up against like a good rebounder in Thompson.
That's true.
But at the end of the day, we talk about it a lot. Individual matchups are they're there, they matter to some extent, but the salary is the most important, and then just the overall favorable matchup is more important to me too.
Whiteside, Thompson, Howard, Mahinmi, Bryant, Boban, JaVale McGee are like the only centers that exist on the slate.
Oh, right, because Jared Allen's a power forward.
Yeah, so there are 7 choices. I'd say that 3 of them are guys that I don't think are really a choice.
Well, and it also depends if Davis were to sit.
Very true. That would make it significantly different. But if we're going to get to 40% Whiteside, I'm just going to take my chances that he busts and I find something else at the bottom.
It's kind of speaking of that, not specifically about Whiteside, but in the little bit of FanDuel I've been playing, like this month, I've just been noticing that a lot of my lineups that did better, and it could very easily just be a sample size thing, were like when I had a cheaper center and just took advantage of the fact that even cheap centers can have big games because they're centers. It seemed like a lot of my because paying up at center, you end up kind of being forced onto the same roster construction as a bunch of other guys.
Right.
Whereas if you get a lower owned cheap center, I was just finding that a lot of my sweats on FanDuel recently have been with cheaper centers.
Yeah, I've been paying down a lot this season, so I would say that it's not just your sample that you're looking at. That I've been there a lot more, because so many, like, you can sneak your way into a double-double with a couple blocks at very minimal salary. If you are a steady start, you're a 28 to 30 minute a game guy at 5K, you're going to get those days just by default.
Yeah, it's been like the Enes Kanter, Jan Mahinmi type guys where, I don't love them, but it's just like, okay, they're half the salary of this guy that everyone else is playing. And if I play the guy, Jokic or whatever, Whiteside in this case, then it means that I have to find that terrible value at small forward that I'm praying gives me 20 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it has been an interesting strategy there to do that.
Do you have anything else for Cleveland, Washington?
No, I think that basically everyone in this game is viable. The priorities, I would say, are Beal and Love.
Agreed. Let's keep moving to Brooklyn. We go. Lakers 5.5-point favorites in Brooklyn. I typed that in the wrong cell. No wonder nothing updated. Jesus. 116.25 implied total for the Lakers, 110.75 for the Nets. That will be the lowest on the slate, but everybody is pretty much in the same sort of area, so I don't want to go too crazy. Kyrie Irving projected in the mid-30s in ownership, 8,700 on FanDuel, 8,400 on DK. Jared Allen, mid-20s in FanDuel, mid-15s, mid-20s on FanDuel, 15% on DraftKings. Spencer Dinwiddie is at 40% on FanDuel and 24% on DraftKings. I think we need to have a little discussion there.
Do we have Kyrie in?
Yeah, 35% on both sides. Dinwiddie's ownership there is wildly high to me, but we can get there. Karis LeVert, 4,600 on FanDuel, 4,900 on DraftKings. I think he might be like sneaky my favorite play today.
He's definitely my favorite play from Brooklyn.
Woo! Number one on the DFS contenders today as well. Great minds thinking alike. Talk to me about Karis LeVert.
He's good at basketball and he's cheap.
Yeah.
His thing this year is that, since coming back from his injury, he's been on a minutes restriction. And I talked about it on the podcast with Dan last night. He had a good game his last time out against Philly without Kyrie. And so obviously the first thing people are going to point to is, oh, well, Kyrie was out. And yeah, that's true. But the big takeaway isn't that he played well. It's that he played 28.7 minutes. And once he's not restricted and once he's healthy, he's someone that you expect to be in the closing lineup over either Harris or Prince, depending on how the game is going. Normally, I would expect him over Harris. So I expect him to be out there, alongside Kyrie and Dinwiddie. So I think that getting those 28 to 30 minutes is something that we'll see moving forward. And, obviously his rates are going to go down when he's sharing the floor with Kyrie, but he's still really cheap right now. He's priced to play 25, 26 minutes. This is around the fantasy point per minute guy, and he's sub 5K.
You must have listened to my video this morning before you started.
I can assure you I did not.
No, I said that the biggest thing to me was simply just seeing that he can play 28 plus minutes. I don't think he did that because Kyrie wasn't there, but if they're willing to do that, then I don't expect him to just drop back down to 23 or 24 or something. I gave him 20.
I appreciate you listening to me and Dan's pod last night.
Yeah, it was the first thing I listened to. I don't like that you beat me to the punch. What I do is I put my AirPods in and fall asleep to the sweet sounds of your voices. It's just like, and away we... Perfect. That's perfect. So he was my number one guy today. I love the price tag. If he gets anything north of 26 minutes, even better. The fact that we have him as the same ownership below Irving, below Dinwiddie, same as Jared Allen on DraftKings, below Prince, below Harris, no brainer for me. I want to have a ton. Sorry, I had to cough. Thought I might need some water there. So let's talk about the rest of this then. I think the next guy that we have to look at, honestly, is Spencer Dinwiddie. 6,500 on FanDuel, 7K on DK. Do you expect him to get any real legitimate ownership like this? That seems high.
It seems like a lot of ownership. It's not that I think he's bad at 7K, but you have to account for the fact that he's playing all of his minutes now with at least one of Kyrie or Karis LeVert on the floor, which is naturally going to hurt his rates. He's still good. He's still going to produce, but his salary is still priced up a bit because of Kyrie missing all those games and then Kyrie missing the last game. And it's not like it's a good matchup against the Lakers either. So I do think that he's more of like a neutral price than a good value for me. And it seems weird that the ownership's that high. If it does stay that high, I would expect that I come in below it.
Yeah, if he's 40% on FanDuel, I might not have any. That's silly on a 3-gamer, but it wouldn't be anywhere near 40. Yeah, that one I don't get. Kyrie mid-30s feels like where it should be. Jared Allen 25% on FanDuel, 5,700 feels where it should be. I don't have a ton of interest in Torian Prince or Joe Harris, but those guys are 20% ish owned. What else stands out to you from the Nets?
I do think Kyrie's a good value.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to piece together exactly how to project his rates since when he was playing earlier in the year, we had LeVert out.
Right.
In the 4 games he's played since coming back from his injury, he has a 28.3% usage rate, 34.3% assist percentage. I think those are probably pretty good, pretty decent estimates at what he does going forward. For the season, he's up over 32%, but it does make a big difference that LeVert was out for a lot of that time because you were getting Dinwiddie and Kyrie staggered, whereas now they're still staggering, but you're getting a lot of the minutes where Dinwiddie is off and Kyrie's on, LeVert is on also. Whereas before Dinwiddie was off and Kyrie was on with, Garrett Temple and Harris and guys that aren't high usage guys. So it should drive his usage down a bit. I think he is a good option. I just think that you want to make sure you're accounting for the fact that he's playing more minutes with Karis LeVert.
There we go. Wilson Chandler, is he going to play the backup 5 if DeAndre Jordan isn't in?
That's a real. So Dan and I talked about this too. That's
I knew that.
Really big news on this slate because this is like one of the worst possible spots for the Nets to not have a backup center.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's really, really, really bad. Or they're just like, here we go. We're just letting it rip.
Well, my first guess is that Jared Allen just plays as many minutes as he can stay on the floor for.
Which feels like not a lot. Not that he can't, but like you're just inevitably going to pick up fouls.
Yeah, but a lot of those minutes are against Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee, so it's not like the highest usage guys there. The Anthony Davis minutes, you can rack up the fouls real quick,
or just LeBron taking it to the rack.
Yeah. So I mean,
I'm gonna look up Jared Allen's foul rate right now.
So I think that if Jordan were out, I would definitely be projecting like a lot of minutes for Jared Allen. Against Philly, you got 31. That would kind of be where I started. I think I might go even a little bit higher, but
he's pretty good. He's been well above average at minimizing fouls. 77th percentile this season, 82nd last year. So he's not like particularly prone to major foul issues, which is a benefit today for sure.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it would have to be like Prince or Chandler, right?
Yeah. I gave Allen 28 minutes to start right now just to see where he shows up, and he shows up quite a bit already. So moving that to 30 or 32, he's going to become close to essential. Probably one of the best, if not the best play of the day, if you think that he can get 32 minutes, because if DeAndre Jordan is out.
Right.
His range of outcomes today is crazy based on DeAndre Jordan's health.
Yeah. This is, I think it's for a 3-game slate. It's pretty fun because you have like moving parts that matter. And for 2, you have 3 games with pretty healthy totals.
Yeah, the only issue is the 10:30 start on that Portland game. If CJ News doesn't come out, that's going to be really problematic. The good news is you'll have a lot of those games, so like late swapping into that, it should be relatively easy. But
right, yeah, I was gonna say like the good news is like it's always easier to have like a bunch of Lillard and then late swap to McCollum than like it was the other day where Lillard was the questionable one.
Yeah,
and you have McCollum, but you can't just make him Lillard.
Right,
and
yeah. Pay close attention to the health of DeAndre Jordan. Claxton's doubtful, I believe, so I don't think we have anything to worry about there.
Yeah, I was trying to think through the rotations too, like because I was thinking like, well, could they just go with like, sub in Wilson Chandler when Anthony Davis comes in at center? But in the first half, it's normally 24 minutes split between McGee and Howard.
Yeah,
Davis normally isn't playing center until the end of the game.
AD is going to just eat Wilson Chandler too. Oh man, this should be fun. Should be real fun. I'm really curious about what I'm going to do with Jared Allen's minutes as we get closer to lock. It could end up being really crazy.
If DeAndre Jordan plays, he's only 4K on DraftKings.
Ah, interesting. And like they're gonna want him to play. Like he's only coming off of dislocated finger or something, so it's not as
Yeah,
if and he's been
I
out
mean,
for
like
like
I
2
would, I
games.
would, I would project it like I normally do. 28-20 or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, but he would become an interesting option. Move to the Lakers, where I mean, for me, this is basically the same equation every time. It's a 2-horse race. This could get way different, however. There is a third guy on DraftKings that I actually like. LeBron is 10-7 on FanDuel, 10-4 on DraftKings, 18-4 on Fantasy Draft, which I think is a really nice price for him, and $55 on Yahoo. I like LeBron more than I like AD. AD at 10-5 on FanDuel, 9,500 on DraftKings. LeBron is around 40% across both FanDuel and DK. AD about 30%. I guess we have the question of whether or not Anthony Davis plays today. I assume that he does. I have him in. Pay attention, I guess. And then $3,700 Rondo on DraftKings, I think, has to be looked at, unfortunately, on this slate. But that's a decent place to find some value. I'd rather have him than probably like IT.
Yeah, I mean, him and IT are pretty similar. I would say I'd rather have Rondo than Exum, like who you'd asked me about earlier.
Sure. Agreed.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you expect 18 to 20 minutes from Rondo, but I talked about this on the pod with Dan too. If I'm going to these questionable values, it's just so much more important to me to prioritize the guys like Rondo that are actually productive on a per minute basis, because you have to keep in mind that we're not very good at projecting minutes or future outcomes. Even the best people at it aren't that good at it. And when you're talking about someone, Avery Bradley was who I used as an example just because he's on the same team and he's cheap. Even if like I'm wrong and Avery Bradley plays 4 or 5 minutes more than I'm expecting, that results in like 1 or 2 fantasy points.
Right.
If I'm wrong and Rajon Rondo plays 4 or 5 minutes more than I'm expecting, that's probably like 5 to 7 fantasy points or something.
Yep.
So I would rather err on the side of guys where if they just get a couple more minutes, it's a big, big difference. And Rondo's one of those guys. So if he plays 18 to 20 minutes, he probably doesn't really kill you or help you at his price. But if for some reason he gets a couple extra minutes, he can be a key guy.
Totally agree. 21% owned right now on DK is not what I'd like to see, but it's also not all that high on a 3-gamer. 3,700, very reasonable if you need the value. What do you want to do with LeBron and AD?
I definitely prefer LeBron just because we had AD on the 30-minute restriction yesterday. He played exactly 30 minutes. I don't know if he'll be on the same thing today, but with it being a back-to-back, I'm not going back to giving him like 36 minutes. Even if I give him 32 and I give LeBron 35 or 36, LeBron looks better to me. Yeah. LeBron's salary is really cheap on DraftKings again, too. And we had talked about it before. LeBron's production does go up without Davis on the floor, but it's not like it's a crazy jump. It's not like it's Harden when Westbrook is on or off, or Westbrook when Harden is on or off.
He's already doing everything anyway.
Right. And LeBron's assists come down without Davis. Yeah. His rebounding stays about the same because you're just replacing Davis with more of McGee and Howard. His usage goes up, but it's not like it's a crazy drop off for him with Davis out there. So LeBron looks like the number one guy for me. Davis is kind of there. If we got news that Davis isn't restricted at all, then Davis would start to look better. But yeah, LeBron's my number one. And then I would say Davis and Rondo, considering their price, are pretty similar.
Dwight Howard, if AD is out, looking pretty tasty.
Yeah, him and McGee both.
Yeah.
And Kuzma, obviously.
I would say Howard over McGee, though. $200 separating them on DraftKings, $300 on FanDuel. I think I would rather have Howard if we knew AD was out.
Yeah, because normally you're going to get like 26 minutes for Howard, like 22 from McGee.
Yeah. Howard already at 18% ownership on DraftKings, so keep an eye there. Danny Green at 11, or Danny Green double digits, KCP double digits, Kuzma double digits. I don't really have much interest in any of these guys from the Lakers unless we see AD out.
Yeah, I mean, if I have to go to one of the peripheral guys, I think Danny Green would be it, just because he is cheap and he at least has those games where he's the one getting all the open looks from LeBron driving. Bradley, like guys like Bradley and KCP are, I think, even less volatile than Green is.
I agree. All right, let's sum it up. Favorite play from this entire game? Who would you expect to be most exposed to?
That's 2 different questions.
Okay. We'll answer them both then.
Most exposed to probably LeVert.
Okay.
Favorite play would be LeBron.
There we go. I agree with both answers. Guys, that's past the halfway point. So perfect opportunity for you to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. NBA projections are free today. Come and get the goods straight from the boss man himself, Alex Baker. We'll have Jake's NHL strategy show at 4 p.m. Alex will be behind the paywall for the final time this week for his game plan stream. That is also at 4. That is for subscribers only. 5 p.m. deeper dive. Adam and Laffy be breaking this one down once again. And then 6 p.m. tonight, live before lock. Fast Eddie Fear and Chris Spags taking you up till 7. We're also doing a giveaway right now. Pull that up on the screen. Zam, it's the Price is Right giveaway. We did one last night. We're going to do it again today. Predict the total of the Lakers-Nets game. I don't know if this is centered on my screen. It is, kind of. Predict the total of the Lakers-Nets game. You have to be following the Osimo NFL, yes, I said that correctly, and Osimo NBA Twitter accounts. You need to retweet, like, and reply with your expected total. If you get it, if anybody gets it exactly, or if we get a bunch of them exactly, we'll give away 2 monthly passes. The closest person, if no one gets it exactly, without going over, and that's the key part for the Price is Right giveaway, will win 1 monthly pass. Go check that out. We're really looking for you guys to be following the Osimo NFL account. We're looking to get to 5,000 followers by the time we get to the Super Bowl. And if we do, we will have the biggest giveaway we've ever had for the site. I told Eddie last night that what we're going to do is unlock everything at 6:45 Eastern on a Wednesday or a Friday. The whole site would be free. That's going to be the giveaway.
Yeah, I'm going to need to know when that happens so I don't play.
Yeah. That is not the giveaway, folks. Not the giveaway. Just a joke. Not going to do it. We're going to give everything away at 6:30. Gotcha. And be sure to check out, one last reminder, NBA DFS Contenders comes out every day, Monday through Friday, before the strategy show. It's my top 10 plays of the day at that moment. And throughout the day, as we get news, I will update that top 10 on Twitter. So follow me at Josh Engelman.
Yeah, that actually does look like an interesting thing that you're doing.
Look at that.
It's on. Yeah, checking it out is on my list of things to do somewhere after making SuperDraft.
Or going to happy hour, or
no, it's way below happy
taking
hour.
a nap, or
yeah.
But yeah, it's super easy. Like there's very little for me to do once I make the update for myself, other than paste a top 10 list into a tweet. So really easy to follow up on it. But I still want you to check out the video and hit it with some likes so I can beat Spags. I hope he doesn't listen to this. Going after his short form video corner market. He yelled at me when he posted his yesterday, so I'm firing back. 2 guys in the DFS industry making competing videos. Gotta love it.
On the same site.
Yeah. They beat a certain short competing video from a different site yesterday. That's all I need to talk about. Portland Trailblazers, Dallas.
Is that even an accomplishment at this point?
It is when that was the goal.
Yeah, okay.
Portland Trailblazers, Dallas Mavericks. Mavs 2-point favorites at Portland. All of this comes down to the caveat of we don't know if CJ McCollum is playing. So we'll start here. Do you have him in or out?
Out.
Okay. We are projecting this the same way as of right now. I have no idea if he's playing or not. I took a look at some player props to start the day. They were leaning like he would not be playing, but those things could not be less reliable at 9 o'clock in the morning. But I needed something to guide me. If I saw that Dame was projected for like 6 points less than I had him, then assume that CJ McCollum is playing. So for right now, Adam and I are going to go through the list as if CJ will not be in the game. Damian Lillard, 30% owned on FanDuel, 20 on DK. Whiteside is around 40 on both sites. Melo, 26.
For what it's worth, reading through the Roto World news on McCollum, so like we got news that like Yusuf Nurkic went through a full practice yesterday.
Yeah.
The news on McCollum, for comparison, is McCollum went through a shooting workout at practice. So yeah, and it was an ankle injury, so him shooting really means nothing.
Right.
Him not actually practicing seems kind of important.
Agreed. There's no way this holds if CJ McCollum is out. Anthony Simons is at 5% and 3% on both sites. I would have zeros attached to those if McCollum is out, I would imagine. And then Trevor Ariza making his debut, 17% owned on FanDuel, 31 on DraftKings. I assume you're going to start with either Dame or Whiteside, but the floor is yours. What do you like from Portland?
Yeah, clearly starting with those two guys. You obviously get huge minutes from them regardless, but if McCollum's out, it's more usage and more production for Dame, and Whiteside's production actually goes up a little bit too, but he's still regardless of who's on the floor, he's around a 1.4 fantasy point per minute guy, and the minutes should be there for both. You've just been getting huge minutes from Whiteside recently, Lillard all season long, so they're obviously the two priorities, even though their salaries have started to come up for me. The rest of it becomes a little bit dicier because one thing that had been working in their favor recently and isn't so much anymore is that they were really shorthanded. They had 8 guys 2 games ago. They had 9 guys last game, and Moses Brown only played 2 minutes. So basically, they had 8 guys. Now you throw Trevor Ariza in there, someone who very clearly can soak up minutes. He was playing upper 20s in minutes most games for the Kings, and it really is going to take value away from his minutes away, I would expect, from Hazonia, Little. Gary Trent's minutes projection can come down a bit, most likely. Simons is not the most productive guy on a per minute basis as is, and his salary is coming up. So while on those previous slates, I'd been pretty much just jamming in everything from Portland, I think it's more jamming in Lillard, jamming in Whiteside, and then just kind of sprinkling in guys like Ariza and Simons and Melo.
Let's talk minutes now, because I think that's kind of key. I know you're kind of getting into it here. What are you expecting for Simons and Ariza? Right now, I have them 32 and 28, respectively. Feel like I could be a little high on Simons, potentially a little light on Ariza. It wouldn't shock me if Ariza started playing 32, 34 minutes a game for this team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that seems reasonable. It's probably to some extent a hot hand situation since Ariza can play so many positions.
Yeah.
But you do know that Simons is going to, at least be getting those backup point minutes, which is, like 10. And then, he'll get a bunch of minutes alongside Lillard as well. He played 46 minutes against Golden State, 3.5 in overtime. So he played like 43 minutes in regulation. So even if you shave off a good amount of minutes, you're still getting low 30s from Simons.
Trevor Ariza is going to help them a lot, right?
You would think.
Yeah, just getting guys that aren't named Hazonia, it has to be super helpful.
Well, the thing is, though, the thing that doesn't make sense for me, like I'm watching the Portland game, they're like, oh, they're finally getting, a competent defender in here. You traded Kent Bazemore for him.
Yeah. They are very similar players.
Yeah, it's you traded the only wing on your team that plays defense to get a wing that plays defense.
Yeah. Bazemore's just been. Did you see what he was shooting this year?
No, I mean, I know he's been terrible.
Yeah.
I think Ariza is an upgrade. Yeah. It's just funny that.
Oh yeah, this shouldn't change defensively.
Right. Yeah, it was just we need to add a defensive wing. Let's get rid of Bazemore.
Trevor Ariza will make Carmelo retire. Yeah, no, that won't happen. Carmelo Anthony's going to end up playing for Portland next year at this rate.
He's been better than I expected. I still don't think he's a guy that helps you win a championship, but
he's not going to be a guy that helps you make the playoffs.
Yeah. And the thing is, people keep pointing they won this game because of him. What everyone said that he would make the Blazers better because they were playing Nasir Little.
Yeah.
And whoever, Hazonia.
Yeah.
Clearly he made the Blazers better, but the argument has always been he's not making a championship team better.
Right. 30 teams didn't want him until Portland suffered all of the injuries.
Right.
Nasir Little probably wouldn't have played this year if Nurkic and Collins were healthy.
Right.
I mean, they really put people on ice. I mean, Anthony Simons has been an untouchable prospect for them since his dad, Penny Hardaway, was in the league. Yeah, hell of a callback, right? Pretty good. I don't know how to separate these Portland guys on DraftKings though. Relative to their salary, I have Ariza, Simons, Melo, Whiteside, and Lillard all super comparable.
I mean, I have Lillard ahead of them.
So I would get to more Lillard and to more Whiteside just because, raw points matter. But just like they're super, super close to each other. And if Simons really does maintain, single digit ownership, that will be the easiest place to like get over the field.
Yeah, I mean, the tough thing for me with Simons on DraftKings is it gets to the whole conversation about, point per dollar value versus point per dollar plus multiplier value, which, we obviously talk about you should be using, or not multiplier, constant. Uh, the difference there, like at 4,500, he just screams the kind of guy where it's like Landry Shamet yesterday, where it's like he's going to score, exactly like 5.5x his salary, and people are going to be like, oh yeah, he hit value,
Yeah.
when really he didn't do anything that helps you win. Like at 4,500, you still, are looking for something on DraftKings around 35 points, and that's a pretty tough ask for him.
That's exactly where I have it set. So good call. Yeah, I have him hitting that 15% of the time. Close enough.
Yeah, like as exciting to watch as he is, because he's incredibly athletic. He's still like a 0.7 fantasy point per minute guy, and as long as Dame Lillard's playing 40 minutes a game, there's not many minutes out there where he's producing at a higher rate than that.
Right. Gotta like Portland though today.
Yep.
And then we get to Dallas, who's gonna look a little bit different now. Dwight Powell, blown Achilles. He's been fantastic for them from a team perspective. Virtual wasteland.
He was good from a fantasy perspective once Porzingis got hurt.
Right, but Porzingis was back now, so he was going to go back to being nothing. So now this is going to change Dallas a little bit. You would think. I think they reached out to Joakim Noah yesterday, so I get it. If they had the ability to dump salary, I wouldn't shot like. If they didn't have to attach an asset the same way Atlanta was trying to do, I would take a run at Andre Drummond in this scenario. If it was only expiring contracts, but doesn't seem like that was what the Pistons were looking for. No idea how many more minutes Kristaps Porzingis is going to play at the 5, but however many they are is a major benefit to Dallas, in my opinion. Then we start knocking on the door of Boban. Is Maxey going to play 5 or minutes at the 5, which I think kind of has to happen. Let's start with my boy, Luka Doncic, 11-2 on FanDuel, 12-3 on DK. 43% owned on FanDuel, not terribly surprising. 21% owned on DraftKings. You paying all the way up for Luka?
Probably not that much, and it doesn't have anything to do with Luka. It has to do with the value. We talked about, are you playing Dante Exum? Are you playing Isaiah Thomas? Are you playing Rajon Rondo? There have been so many guys on the slate where we actually really like in that mid range, where I think a lot of my lineups are going to be kind of focused around them. The exception would be if on a 3-game slate, Luka is low owned. I ended up, for example, yesterday with a bunch of James Harden. Just I didn't think he was a great play, but I thought at 10% owned, he was a good play. So that would be the one caveat, is maybe if Luka's really low owned, I kind of just take a chance on some of the value. But from what I expect to happen and from an optimal roster construction standpoint, I think he's just a little more expensive than I would like, especially with Porzingis back.
Yeah. I mean, the most ridiculous piece of all of this should be this one right here. He's projected for the same amount of ownership as Dame.
Yeah, that's absurd. Do we have McCollum projected out?
I assume so. I don't actually know the answer to that. We have him at 1.3, so that's probably what people would put in, even if he wasn't in or out.
Right.
So obviously we have him projected out. If CJ McCollum were projected in, he would be north of 1.3 by default.
Right. Like 12-3 Luka probably shouldn't be higher owned than 8K Porzingis.
Right. Yeah, no, it's
playing center.
Right, 100%.
He shouldn't be higher owned than $4,900 Levert.
No. I like this Dallas team, but it's just weird.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I love Luka. He's probably going to be the highest scorer on the slate, and he has the chance to break it open. But at 12-3, for him to actually break it open, you really need, 65, 70 plus points, considering you have guys like Kyrie, LeBron, Love, Beal. Like, these guys are all capable of going for 55 and making it so, if you get 60 from Luka, you're still just like, okay, I'm still, you're at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah, Bill in YouTube chat just said if Luka gets 60 at 12-3, are you satisfied? You're not.
Probably.
You're not
Like
not
it's
satisfied.
relevant. It's relative to the rest of the slate. Like if everyone else busts, then yeah, you're happy. But most likely at least a couple of that Beal, Love, Kyrie, LeBron, Davis, Lillard, Whiteside group is scoring like 50 plus.
Yeah, like at 60. I'm not shocked at all if he's in the winning lineup. Like you're okay. It's not a dream scenario, but if you get 50, you probably can't recover from that.
Right. Like if he scores 60 and you're just kind of like sweating games and going through your lineups, I mean, obviously the slate's over at this point, but for my point, you're not going like, oh damn, I wish I didn't have Luka in this lineup.
Right.
Because it's still 60 points.
Yeah.
But it's probably not helping you win the slate.
Exactly. Yeah. 50 and you're just like that. You basically need the nuts on the other 7 spots.
50 and it's like having LeBron the other day against the Celtics when he scored like 42.
Yep.
You like when you first look, you're like, oh, 42. Like everyone in this lineup has 40 points so far, and then you're like, oh, I just paid $11K for these 42.
Right. Just not efficient enough. Tim Hardaway for 4,700 on DraftKings feels great, but I just don't know how this is going to look now with Porzingis at the 5. It feels like it's going to be a negative for him even more so than I would have thought. But
why?
Because I think this is going to be a better natural fit for Porzingis, and Hardaway is going to be seeing a lesser involvement in the offense than he's at right now.
That's fair. I'm trying to see how many minutes we can get. I'm assuming it's not going to be a lot with Maxey, Boban, and Powell off and Luka on. I guess we need Luka. Well, yeah,
Maxey, Boban, and Powell off. I mean, that'll be like 0 minutes.
66 minutes of Luka and Porzingis on with those 3 off.
Really?
Porzingis is at 1.31 points per minute. Luka's at 1.24. Obviously, those don't really matter.
No.
33% usage for Luka, 26.6 for Porzingis. Hardaway's been out there for 37 of them, has a 16% usage rate.
Okay.
So not much you can take away there. But.
No. But that's sort of what I'm seeing is this makes Dallas's spacing look correct if Porzingis is playing at the 5, which I think is a benefit to Luka and a benefit to Porzingis. I just don't know how Tim Hardaway gets involved. I mean,
do you think Porzingis starts at the 5 today?
I think he should. I mean, I don't.
I think. Yeah.
I mean, he should have been starting at the 5 from the beginning, but that's neither here nor there. So it's hard for me to answer because I have no idea what they're going to do.
Right. I was thinking that it might, from a rotation standpoint, work out better if they start Maxey and then have Porzingis as the backup 5 with Melo.
I mean,
I guess it could go either way.
What do you think the chances are that Boban starts?
Should be 0.
I mean, should it against Whiteside? Like, that's when you want him to be on the floor, when you're definitely getting Hassan Whiteside, right?
I mean, Lillard's one of the highest pick and roll
True.
guys in the league.
True. Good point.
Like, if Boban starts, Lillard's going to score 100. Or if Boban were to play, like, starter minutes, Boban scores 100. Or Lillard scores 100.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with Boban. He is single digits in ownership, 3,900 on DraftKings at 4%. What do you want to do there? Ignore it?
Probably. I mean, like, yeah, if he's going to get no ownership, then I'll have a little bit just because if he plays 12 minutes, he can still double-double. But, yeah, I mean, there's going to be a ton of Boban hype because people love Boban and they want reasons to play him. But for one, I think this is a terrible matchup for him. And for two, we've gone through this, it feels like, every year for the last 3 or 4 years where someone ahead of him gets hurt and everyone gets excited. And then the team is just like, yeah, no, we're still not playing this guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's all really going to come down to whatever Kristaps Porzingis says in a closed-door meeting about how many minutes he wants to play at the 5.
Yeah.
Like, because he doesn't fancy himself a 5 in, I would imagine, just the regular season. I don't think he's going to get much choice in the playoffs, but in a perfect world, he plays 32 minutes at center. and
Yeah.
I think he might play half of that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, my guess is that most of the minutes go to Maxey and Porzingis, and then Boban, if he plays like max like 12.
Okay, I gave him 16 just because I felt like I had a lot of minutes to go around, and at that point, still like super uninteresting to me, and that was kind of where I wanted it, how I
Yeah.
wanted
I
it
mean,
to shake out.
if I give him 16 minutes on DraftKings, he yeah, I'm with you. He wouldn't be like a lock, but I would get some.
Yeah, and I think I'm pretty happy about that because he's clearly a guy where, if Kristaps Porzingis tweaks his knee or gets in foul trouble or something, like every minute, goes back to what we were talking about before. Every minute that Boban Marjanovic is on the floor is highly valuable to your DFS line.
Right. He's a 1.3 fantasy point per minute guy. It goes back, yeah, what we were talking about with Rondo.
Yeah, to the nth degree.
Right. And so that's why the ownership is really interesting. Like, and it goes back to my point too about we're all just bad at predicting what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think Boban plays a lot of minutes. Rick Carlisle can very much disagree with me. It wouldn't be the first time. And if he's going to be 4% owned, the value there's more value in me playing him and hoping that I'm wrong and that he plays more than I'm expecting than there is in me being like, I'm sure I'm right. I'm not playing Boban.
Right. Like if Isaiah Thomas really is 23% owned, I think I have a better chance of having a 4% owned Boban help me win a contest than holding hands with that. Or even like, Rondo at 20% is probably fine. But like if KCP is going to get to 10, I'd rather have Boban.
Right, exactly.
If Danny Green's going to get to 10, I'd probably rather have Boban, although I like Danny Green more than I like KCP.
Right, I agree with you there. Yeah, it's just you have to understand range of outcomes, and Boban's, even though I don't think he should play a lot, it's still high because I can just be wrong on the minutes, or like you said, you could just have like a minor injury where he picks up 3 extra minutes, and that's like 5 points.
Yeah, like every single minute he gets. I mean, if I just bump him from 16 to 17, he becomes like one of the best values on the slate. Like that, every single point of his is massive relative to a $3,900 salary.
Right. And the big thing is, right now we have him at 4% ownership. So if I were to get to like 10%, it doesn't have a big impact on my night if he doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
But I am really, favorably leveraged to the field if he does do well.
Yep. All right, let's sum it up.
If he ends up being 20% owned, like I wouldn't want to be getting 40% or something.
Exactly. Unless okay, so like, what do you do? We'll close it out after this. What do you do if we get an announcement at 6:30 that says Boban Marjanovic is starting at the 5 for the Mavericks tonight?
Make sure you have Dame in 100% of your lineups.
Okay.
And then play a bunch of Boban.
Okay. Yeah.
Because like you said, even like if he's starting, they could very easily just still play him, 2 8-minute stints.
Right.
But that would still be valuable. And if he starts, the big thing is it means he's not DNPing. So you have a shot at 3,900.
Exactly. Yeah. Just knowing that he's definitely going to see the floor is incredibly valuable information. Surprise, surprise. But I can't imagine we get that sort of news one way or the other. All right, sum it up. Favorite plays on DraftKings for you today?
So assuming McCollum is out, I would say Beal, Lillard, Whiteside, LeBron, but I think it'll be pretty tough for me to get to a lot of LeBron. Kevin Love, LeVert.
That can't be a real message, right? That's just
Ariza is a good value.
Okay. For FanDuel, Dame number 1 for me at point guard. I like Darius Garland and Anthony Simons. Simons, obviously, if CJ McCollum is out. Shooting guard, Karis LeVert with a bullet. I like Jordan McRae in the mid tier, but paying up for Bradley Beal doesn't exactly feel like a problem. Small forward, pretty much 4 guys for me: LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Cedi Osman. Boy, those 2 guys might as well just merge into one. Might as well be the exact same person to me. two guys that suck at DFS that I constantly get. I hate them so much. I might just lower their minutes so I don't see their numbers show up in blue. Kevin Love at power forward, number one with a bullet for me. Bertans at 4,500 is probably number two. Jared Allen, Maxi Kleber, 3-4. Both of those guys could look a little bit different by the time we get closer to lock, particularly Jared Allen if we get word that DeAndre Jordan is out. Mubi02, you're banned from this chat for the rest of time. If you predict that Wolves will beat Liverpool today, if they beat them 3-1, I will hunt you down personally. And at center, Tristan Thompson is my favorite. It's not particularly close. Jan Mahinmi, I think, is going underrepresented at just 8% projected ownership. I do like Hassan Whiteside quite a bit. I'm not sure that 40% owned is where I want to be, though. That would be a place that I'd look to get a little different. That's all we got. Guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. Go check out the NBA DFS Contenders top 10 plays for today. Tune into the deeper dive, live before lock, Alex's game plan stream. Participate in our giveaway. Go to @AwesomoNBA or @AwesomoNFL on Twitter for more details, and follow @AwesomoNFL. Get us to 5,000 so we could do a monster giveaway. Adam, anything else?
I'll be back at 5 with Lofty. Today's Thursday. Yeah, Lofty.
Yes. There we go. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Best of luck today. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.